Hey guys, it's Jessie, and I'm here to share some tips and tricks to iPad lettering. A number of you have asked me to create a tutorial for how I used my iPad, and while I openly admit that I am no expert when it comes to using the iPad for lettering, I have picked up some tricks that I think can help you if you're just starting out. Today I'm going to be using the Procreate app for the iPad Pro, which is primarily what I use for lettering. When I open up the app, it'll open my gallery, which has a list of all my current projects that I've started on Procreate. To start a new project, tap the plus icon at the top right. I typically select screen size and work from there unless I know exactly what resolution I need my piece to be. Now that you're in the app, I'm going to guide you through some basic steps. If you are a lefty like me, be sure to switch your right-hand interface on so that you don't accidentally interfere with the brush opacity or undo or redo something. To get started, tap the brush at the top and select a brush to your liking. When you first open the app, I suggest just trying all of them and get a feel for what the brushes look like and how you can modify them. I also want to urge you to try different brushes. The fun in lettering on the iPad comes from trying different brushes and seeing how it impacts the look of your lettering or calligraphy. These are the brushes that I've imported from Half a Pixel, and I've linked her website down below. She has some brushes for free and also for purchase. The last major step is to just pick a color and start writing. Now I want to share some advice about navigating the app efficiently. The first thing that I want to talk about is changing the color. Anytime that you want to change the color of your lettering or background, use the color picker and drag the color to the desired area to change it to that color. The eyedropper tool. If you'd like to replicate a color that you've added to your image onto your color palette, tap the square on your brush panel and that acts as an eyedropper tool. Straight lines. I cannot write in a straight line for the life of me, so what I like to do before starting any project is laying down some straight lines before lettering. I do that by dragging the Apple Pencil from one point in the image to another, and when you just hold it there on the iPad, it becomes a straight line. It's as easy as that. I like to do that on a separate layer so that when I'm all done, I can just delete that layer and no one will know that I used guidelines. Speaking of layers, this is a super convenient feature of using Procreate. I like to put everything on a separate layer so that if anything needs to be tweaked or adjusted, I would only have to play around with one layer rather than redoing the whole image. To delete, duplicate, or lock a layer, swipe left on that layer and then you can see all of those options. If you'd like to duplicate something, there are several ways to go about doing this. Duplicating everything on one layer is simple. All you have to do is swipe left and select duplicate. If you want to duplicate something apart from its layer, you can select it by using the selection tool and duplicate that by clicking on the icon below. Since I like working in multiple layers to start, I've got the word chalk, the lines, and the word letters all on separate layers. I plan to remove the lines and move the words around to get the layout that I want. Once I've moved everything around to my liking, I like to start merging some of the layers. You can either do this by tapping the layer and selecting merge down or simply merging them all together with your fingers. Although I feel like that's a lot harder than just using that merge down method. Lastly, something that really helped me spruce up my lettering was to create an inverse effect. You can do this in either one of two ways. You can use the eraser tool method or the alpha lock method. The first thing I'm going to go over is using the eraser tool to letter. Using the eraser tool is essentially like digital scratch art paper, where you create a colorful background, cover it up with a solid color layer, and use the eraser tool to reveal what's underneath. The pros of using this method is that you can see everything that you're creating on that background layer. The con is that you wouldn't be able to move around your lettering without moving that whole layer with it. This is where the alpha lock method comes in, and this is the method that I prefer. Alpha lock is a mechanism that allows you to color only within the alpha locked layer. You do this by first writing a sentiment and then alpha locking it. What you do is you take 2 fingers and swipe right. When you see a checkered background, you know that your layer is alpha locked. I can create that same effect from earlier by coloring across it. The benefit of this method is that I can move the layers around freely without worrying about the background. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you learned something and feel inspired to create something today. To check out more of my stuff, go to www.inkrella.com/learn. You can also find me on Instagram at InkRellaCards.